Deposing a country's leader is often easier than finding a competent and acceptable replacement. Terms like regime change and nation building can quickly morph into terms like mission creep, quagmire, and forever war. America's recent experiences in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Libya are a testament to that. Donald Trump campaigned against prolonged and costly military interventions, while at the same time talking tough about the projection of American power when necessary. The Monroe Doctrine, now emerging in the wake of this weekend's operation in Venezuela, may be more of an attitude than a political philosophy, but two signature Trumpian elements are plain to see. First, a reliance on a spectacular, made-for-TV target strike that accomplishes an audacious goal with minimal American casualties. Quickies, not quagmires. Second, a post-strike realpolitik that makes Otto von Bismarck look like Neville Chamberlain. Sure, the president may say the United States is going to run Venezuela, but it's becoming clear the administration would rather run it through people who are already there. Long before Delta Force launched its operation, the CIA had already done a full analysis to determine the best person to lead Venezuela and maintain stability in Maduro's wake. In a classified report, the CIA concluded that top members of Maduro's own government would be best positioned to take over after the autocrat was gone. Those findings were confirmed to NewsNation by a source familiar with the top-secret report. The CIA did not advocate for full-blown regime change, according to the source, which helps explain why Delcy Rodríguez, Maduro's trusted vice president since 2018, was sworn in yesterday as the country's interim president, and not opposition leader and Nobel Prize winner María Corina Machado. After previously praising Machado, Trump said she wasn't up to the job of being president.
She doesn't have the support within or the respect within the country. She's a very nice woman, but she doesn't have the respect.
In other words, there's a perception that Machado cannot actually command the real centers of Venezuelan power, the military that controls the guns, the remaining Maduro officials who control the institutions, and the gangs who control the countryside. As this Insight Crime article lays out, the United States seems well aware that at the moment, the only way to avoid chaos and potential civil conflict is to keep a Chavista, or Maduro-aligned leader, in place. The message is clear. For now, at least, Team Trump is prioritizing stability over democratic reform. For more now, let's go to Rick de la Torre, former CIA chief of station in Caracas, Venezuela. Rick, so glad to have you on the show. What do you make of this report? Do you agree with the CIA's latest assessment that Delcy Rodríguez or somebody else inside the regime is the best person to take over?
So I'm not familiar with that report. I have no knowledge of it, nor have I read it. I think right off the bat that the agency judging that senior regime loyalists within the Maduro regime in Venezuela had these existing institutional knowledge and relationships that keep that country running, right? So you have to deal with the reality of the situation that once you've removed Maduro, someone has to keep the lights on, someone has to keep things going. You don't have many options since the head of the militaries each have a $25 and $30 million bounty on their heads. So Delcy Rodríguez, I think, is one of those situations where you have to pinch her nose and you have to deal with her until you could get someone like María Corina Machado into a better position. She's in Norway. A third of the Venezuelan population is not in Venezuela. They're exiled living abroad. So I think it makes sense that for the short term, for the immediate, you're going to have to deal with what you've got.
Yeah. Machado, it's interesting. Machado has tried very hard for the last year to ingratiate herself to Trump. She's dedicated her Nobel Peace Prize to him. She echoes his language constantly, accusing the Maduro regime of narco-terrorism. And that actually ended up costing her in Venezuela. The military doesn't support her because they're part of the regime that she's been criticizing harshly.
Well, certainly the regime, the military is not going to support her. They know that their ability to abuse the Venezuelan people and make money off narco terrorism and stealing Venezuelan oil and gold and human trafficking, that's coming to an end. The
Right.
FARC and ELN and living in the Colombian jungles, that's going to be coming to an end. So I perfectly understand why they don't want her back. Now, I think in her situation, though, she should be grateful. She is grateful. I think 95% of the Venezuelan people are grateful that Maduro is no longer in power, and it makes sense that there needs to be a pause to assess the current situation on the ground. Make sure to have a stabilizing force happening within Venezuela somehow that then makes Maria Machado's return, excuse me,
Right.
and the rest of the Venezuelan exile community something that will stay, that will stick. Look, it's very early. All this has occurred in the last 48, 72 hours. And this is something that's going to continue to evolve. I think right now we should be very grateful, very happy of the exceptional work our military forces and our intelligence community did there. And we just need to be a little bit more patient and see how things continue to develop over the next day or so.
How big an issue are these heavily armed gangs that control so much of the Venezuelan countryside?
They're criminals. They are members of things like Tren de Aragua and other local street gangs. They're enforcers. They're usually run by the intelligence apparatus that
In the
that
government.
Maduro regime controls. Yeah, within the government, and they're used to keep people in line. So if you try to have an impromptu rally or you want to protest something against the regime, these folks are dispatched on their scooters and they come at you with baseball bats and with guns. During a lot of the riots that occurred a couple of years ago, there were many Venezuelan protesters that were just shot dead in the streets by these gangs.
Wow. This is a real tough situation to turn around. It's going to be like turning an oil tanker. It's going to take, as you said, some time and a little bit of patience. Rick de la Torre, great to talk to you. Hope we all come back to the show and we'll be able to pick your brain a little bit more and your expertise about Venezuela. Appreciate it.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.